Okay. And we should be live now. So, how's everyone doing today?
Hi everybody. I'm never sure where I should look in these things. Like, do I look
Right, the
right
webcam
here?
there.
Okay.
Yeah. So, once again, I'm here today with Nomadic Matt, the one and only. And we wanted to continue the Q&A that we were doing a few days ago when we ran into technical difficulties, which I'm hoping I fix this time.
I'm hoping to. There's only so many of these I can do.
I know, well, you know, 6th or 7th times a charm, whatever way they say it.
Well, we're already on number 3.
Yeah, I got loads of tries left. Okay, so if you guys are having any problems hearing us, then let me know. I can see the chat window coming up there. I just need to make sure Facebook is working with it. Okay. Yeah, good. Facebook's up. Okay. Yeah. So we are going to start with your questions. So let's see.
Ask me anything.
Yeah, ask him anything, and we'll be very happy
No matter how inappropriate.
Oh, well, not too inappropriate, you know. Okay, let's see. Seeing what the questions people have been asking so far are. Some language learning questions. No language questions today. Travel only. So when we say ask anything, we don't actually mean anything.
Anything. Well, you can ask anything. We just won't answer. So
yeah,
things.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So let's see.
Are there any questions?
You can hit us with one. Essentially, Matt is here in town because he was speaking at the New York Times travel show, and I found his talk very good because he essentially from last year when you actually had someone heckle you, but
yes. Last year I did have someone heckle me. I was kind of hoping someone would heckle me this year.
Yeah, but in the end, everyone was happy with the talk you gave, and he gave some tips for his best tools to get cheaper travel. And one thing I think that people here might be interested in that was it just sounds so amazing when you say it, is that you flew first class. And now when you hear that, you might think, oh, he flies first class. Well, obviously he's blowing thousands of dollars on his flights. But how much did you spend on your first class flight?
With the fees and everything, it was like $7.
$7. And how does that work? How do you get a first class flight for $7?
I have a bunch of miles, so I collect points and miles. If you're American, Canadian, British, Australian, a little bit New Zealand, Spanish too.
That's right.
There's a couple of good cards down in Brazil
and now you know Aer Lingus has joined Avios, so you could always through somehow. Well, yeah. I don't know if that applies to any credit card system, but you can still stock up on the miles.
Basically, you use your everyday spending to get free flights by cycling your whatever you're spending through a points earning credit card. I don't shop in stores now. Even if I buy clothes, I'll go into the store, try everything on, then order through an airline shopping portal because you'll get sometimes 3 to 30 times points.
And so it's the same price regardless.
Yeah. Sometimes it's even cheaper because you're online and they're offering flash sales.
Yeah.
Pay your rent on a credit card. A number of credit banks will let you fund your initial deposit with the credit card. So you basically go deposit into the bank, use that bank account to pay off your card, and presto.
Yeah, and
there's a number of small travel hacks, but it's basically about spending money wisely, and using the sign-up bonuses to just earn.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say you spend, I don't know, $25,000 a year, right? Just on a one-to-one basis, that's a free flight to Europe. But then if you do 3 points on food and pay your rent, maybe you can get it up to $40,000, $45,000.
Yeah.
you could probably go 2 flights from like the U.S. to South America on that. Um, Definitely go to Hawaii for 2 flights.
Yeah.
So
No, it's amazing. I've been getting into the miles thing myself over the last year, and it like I have been able to upgrade to business class without paying any extra money, and it makes a world of difference. You get to see, and you're not even spending money. It's just the points you earned from already buying things you're going to buy anyway. So
yeah, you definitely don't want to do this and be. You know, a lot of people are like, oh well, I'm not going to spend extra money. And I'm like, me
yeah,
neither.
yeah,
Like you don't go into debt if you and don't do this if you can't pay off your credit card each month
right,
because the interest rates will kill you because you know they have so many high perks that they have to make their money back somehow.
of
So
course.
travel credit cards tend to have higher interest rates. Um, so we'll get into some other questions here.
Yeah, I actually been glancing at the questions. You're gonna like some of these, Matt, that I've been seeing here.
Okay.
So let me see. So hi, Jonathan in Alaska. Can you travel the world with a pet? Jonathan says.
Can you travel the world with a pet? It's very difficult. You can travel to some countries with a pet. A lot of the times, you know, they have to have proof that they've been vaccinated, spayed or neutered. You know, they have a clean bill of health. Um,
Places like Australia even like lock them up for several months when you arrive.
yeah, I mean, remember all the trouble Johnny Depp got into because he brought his dog? And he still had to pay a fine. So, yes and no. It really depends on where you're going. There's a website out there called Dog Jaunt, Jaunt, and that's a pretty good starting point for travel. Even if you're not traveling with a dog, the woman that runs that site has a lot of resources for pet travel.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Okay, quickly on to Alex, who says, "What was your original motivation to travel?"
I met a bunch of backpackers, and they were doing fun stuff, and I was working at a really crappy cubicle job. And I thought, these people are living my dream. All I want to do is travel more, but I grew up thinking travel was expensive, so I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I hear a bunch of people just having fun in Thailand, like partying and meeting people and telling me about all these things I should see, and I'm like, I got 10 days and I have to fly back, and I will never go anywhere for the rest of the year. So I was like, I want to do that. I want to be the person with the cool stories.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing when you get into it. You see how much it actually costs compared to what people think it costs.
I heard someone wrote a book about traveling the world on $50 a day.
That's right, and that book is, as you guys can see, is right there in the corner. If you check out his, no, the other corner. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, everything's backwards.
I know. That's how mirror image stuff works. So somebody here, let me see if I can find the question because I just think this is great. Somebody said, it was a YouTube question. Okay, someone said, "Oh my God, where did you get your hair cut?" They were like, "I love your haircut. Where did you get it done?" And
Did
I just saw
really
that.
say that?
I am not lying. I'm trying to find the question.
Does
but
it look good?
Yeah, someone's literally said, "Your hair looks great. Where did you get it cut?" Which is funny because
I obsess up my hair.
Uh-huh.
I got it cut at this really nice place in New York. I will not give the name because then you'll see how much the price is, and I'd rather people not know. Because I think it's a ridiculous amount for a men's haircut.
But what I think is really interesting is that because Matt travels a lot and he goes to the likes of Europe and so on, he has used New York as a hub.
Yeah.
And that means that...
It means this is going to sound so ridiculous. I schedule my haircuts based on my travel. So that when it's time for a haircut, I fly through New York to get my haircut and onward travel.
That's right.
Plus, there's not a lot of direct flights out of Austin places, so I have to usually connect somewhere. Might as well connect through New York, get my haircut, see Benny. I stay on Benny's couch a lot, so...
Yeah, I think it's great that you can actually fly to New York to get your haircut, and yet you're not actually like getting a ticket to New York, getting your haircut, and leaving. It's that you're going onward to somewhere else,
Yeah.
and then you just have a long layover, and
Yeah.
you just like go into New York, see some friends, get your haircut, and then go on.
Right.
I think that's great.
It's an hour from JFK,
Mhm.
so all I need is a 4-hour, 5-hour layover just to be safe, and in, cut, back,
That's
onward.
great. All right, so hello, Stratos in beautiful Greece. I love how modest he is. You know, hello from beautiful Greece.
Well, it was pretty beautiful there.
Okay, how can you make a living while traveling the world? Jonathan asks.
I write. I mean, that's what it really comes down to is I'm a writer. I'm a blogger. I have a number of entrepreneurial things going on, but I mean, I started basically just writing. You know, I wrote a couple of ebooks, and then I wrote a couple more ebooks, and then I wrote a real book. Whatever, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's somewhere on the screen.
It's either this way or this way.
Yeah. Now I do consulting now, so eventually, like, you move up the ladder, but
There are a lot of jobs that you can do online. Like before I got into blogging, I was just a freelance translator, and that's how I made my money, was doing translation.
Right.
And there are people who do like photoshopping, and they do website design, and they just do that from their computer, and all you need is an internet connection. And I talk a lot about people who teach languages via Skype, and they travel with that.
Right. So, like, that's how I make my money. But in terms of, like, if you're a regular traveler and you just want to make money traveling, everything Benny has talked about, working holiday visas, becoming an English teacher, teach your own language. You know, if you cut hair, go back to the hair, right? When you travel, give people in your hostels like $10 haircuts, and yeah, you're not going to make a ton of money doing it, but you get 5 people who give you a haircut, that's $50. Boom, you have a whole day of expenses covered.
Yeah, I actually met a guy when I was myself traveling in Ireland, and he traveled the world making balloon animals, and that's like I was amazed. But he actually made really good money as well. It's incredible.
You just got to get creative.
Yep,
Remember, you're not looking for a career, you're looking for a job.
exactly.
There's a difference.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Vincent says, I want to travel to Japan for 1 year. I would go there with a working holiday visa and try to. I would go there with a working holiday visa and try to find somewhere to stay there only once I'm there. Would you have any tips for that kind of situation?
Well, as far as I know, Japan does not give out working holiday visas because they have.
Yeah, there. Do you see the comment? Where do you get your
Yeah.
hair done? Oh my god. Told you.
Who can we see who wrote that comment?
Remy Lacofano.
Yeah. So I know that person.
Okay.
So
That makes
Japan
sense.
doesn't give out working holiday visas because they're very strict on immigration, as far as I know. So if you were going to go there, you'd probably have to teach a language, or you'd have to be sponsored by a company, or marry someone Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
They have very strict working and labor controls.
Okay. All right.
Now I could be wrong, and maybe for whatever country, he's from, there might be a working holiday visa for him.
Yeah.
In which case, yeah, just go there and find a job. Being on the ground is a lot easier to get something.
Definitely. Okay. Joe wants to know if you have ridden the London Eye, is it worth it?
I don't really like heights, but you do really get a good picture of London. So it really depends on, do you want that like scenic view of London? Yeah, then it's worth the £20.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I don't think it's great. I mean, it's a Ferris wheel, right?
Yeah.
You go around like this. But for some people, that's like they love that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it would depend on what you're into.
Yeah.
I've gone up it and I've enjoyed it for the view that you get at the top, but I wouldn't really need to go on it again now. It's one of those things that if you've time, sure, but I wouldn't make that your priority in London. Okay, this is a good question. Andrea says, can you tell us about how you've learned to deal with the stress of travel but built yourself up as a person?
Well, I think dealing with the stress of travel builds you up as a person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I posted this yesterday actually. It was about like learning to cope with travel mistakes
Mm-hmm.
because I make them all the time.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 10 years, and man, I have double booked flights, like missed flights, got times wrong,
Yeah.
showed up with like the wrong ATM card,
Mm-hmm.
like rushed out of my house and like forgot an adapter.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I've done that myself. I just slightly over a week ago, I missed a flight, and
Yeah.
it still happens. No matter how much experience you'll get, you'll find yourself rushing and you'll make mistakes.
right, and you know you were going to Newark, right? Well, I almost missed my flight to Newark. I was actually at Newark on the little air train between the terminals
Mhm.
when the air train broke down.
Oh,
So luckily the flight was delayed.
okay.
But she's like, man, you lucked out on this because we were on that air train for like 30 minutes. And I was like, I'm going to have plenty of time. I'm going to get lunch.
Yeah.
And so what happens is you just kind of learn to do it because you have to learn to go with the flow.
And then if something bad does happen, rather than kind of wallowing in how bad you feel about it and woe is me, life's not fair, you just go straight on to problem solving.
Yeah,
You know?
how can I fix this?
Yeah.
I missed that one bus to that town I really wanted to go to. What can I do now?
Exactly.
I mean, you know, I was in the Maldives to go, and I had an Airbnb booked on a different island, but you have to go through Malé for everything. So I was assured that there would be a public ferry.
Okay.
The ferry just never showed up. So, but I've already prepaid because you have to prepay everything there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've already prepaid. So luckily there were some other people there. We all chipped in for a speedboat to get back to the main island.
Nice.
Cost us like
Yeah,
10
of
times
course.
more money, but I got there.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, I need to get there. So, yeah, you like stuff goes wrong all the time, but the short answer of this long answer is you just move into problem solving.
Yeah, and I would always have like some kind of a buffer zone in your budget,
Mm-hmm.
because if you plan exactly how much money you're going to spend, that's not going to happen. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're going to have problems. You're going to realize, like you said, you might have double booked something, and you're going to have to get a last minute hotel,
Mm-hmm.
or the food is going to end up being more expensive than you thought it was. Something's going to happen, so always have a little bit of extra money,
Yeah.
just in case.
I was in Cinque Terre in
Mhm.
Italy, and I was walking up to the boat ramp to get this like panoramic,
Yeah.
and you know I was in flip flops and I slipped and fell right into the ocean
Oh.
to the amusement of the little kids watching me.
Of course.
So I was like, bummer. I caught myself, but I got water on my camera
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't work. So I'm in the middle of nowhere, Italy, and I'm like, I'm gonna need a camera. So I had to buy a new camera. Things you don't think about.
Yeah, and actually the same place, Cinque Terre,
Yeah.
when I was there, I didn't plan. I was trying to be spontaneous. I arrived at the hostel, and I hadn't actually booked the hostel. I just figured it's not peak season, they'll have a bed. And they were totally full. And it was kind of getting late, and I couldn't afford to stay in a hotel. I had to sleep on the rocks. Yeah.
There you
Or
go.
like find a secure, and like they have like the cops looking around for you, making sure that you're not like having parties on the beach or something. So that was not fun, but you know, whatever, you learn to deal with it. And the next day I obviously checked in when I could. Okay, Daniel says or asks, have you ever been to Costa Rica?
Many, many times. So I guess Daniel, write a follow-up question.
Yeah. Ask another question about Costa Rica, and
Yeah.
you can be specific about what you want to hear.
Yeah,
about.
if you're like, do you have any recommendations for insert destination? That's such a broad question. Like, do you have a specific restaurant you
Yeah.
like, or like 3 favorite things I should do in Amsterdam? Because otherwise, I'm not really sure what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's very hard to answer like an open-ended question like that, and without being actually useful. So make sure you
otherwise-
ask specifics, and we'll be happy to tackle that. Because I'm seeing more questions. Have you been here, been there? I mean, all we can
I've
say
been
is,
to a lot of places.
yeah. All I can say is yes.
Mhm.
Yes. I've been there. Okay. Do you think here's a tricky one? Could you briefly summarize the book How to Travel the World on $50 a Day? How would you like
Yeah, How to Travel the World on $50 a Day is about an idea of travel. It's not only about the number and learning to cut your expenses down, it's learning to travel like you live
Mm-hmm.
and get in a budget travel mindset and stop thinking of like travel as expensive and learning the ins and out of traveling like you live, using public transportation, cooking food, using the sharing economy, like getting rides with people, Airbnb, couch surfing,
Mm-hmm.
and learning where to find deals. Like so you can use the points and miles to lower your flights.
Yeah.
Um, you can learn how to find a cheap flight. Beyond that, you know how to find discounted train passes and everything in between. So it's as much about the number, which is an all-inclusive number. It's like from the time you go out of your house to the time you come back a year later,
Mm-hmm.
you'll average $50 a day.
Yeah.
And then also about getting to the right mindset.
Exactly. All right. So Adam says, round trip flight tickets, or should I go for one way for the flexibility?
It really depends. So budget carriers are, you know, fine, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the older airlines, like the big ones, Lufthansa, British, um, American,
Mm-hmm.
Delta, they often price out a round trip ticket cheaper than a one way.
Yeah.
So somebody asked me this at the talk. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, so I always just look at the price difference, and if it's cheaper to buy a round trip ticket, which sometimes it is, uh, I'll get it. Like for example, American Airlines, if you price out a one-way ticket, like to London,
Yeah.
they will only show you um, the premium economy seat. Right? They won't even show you a regular economy seat.
Wow.
So you have to do the round trip ticket to see actually what the fare is.
But one interesting thing is that, and this came up in your talk as well, that you could actually just decide, I don't want to know when my return date is, and you can still buy a round trip ticket and just not take the return, you know?
Yeah.
Or like or you might even decide, like, do you think it's worth it to pay a little bit extra to get a flexible ticket that you can pay a little bit to change the date? I know if you've got status, you can do that a lot easier, but
No, I would go with the cheap one and just put it around the time you want
mm,
and then figure it out.
yeah. Okay. Jonathan asks, have you ever been mugged or had your stuff stolen?
I think. No.
No.
I definitely have never been mugged. I don't think anyone has. I can't remember anything of value being stolen.
Yeah.
So, no.
No, like traveling is a lot safer than people think it is.
Mhm.
I've only had my stuff. I've never been mugged. I've only had my stuff stolen one time, and people might think, "Oh wow, was that like in Colombia or like in a dark alley somewhere?" That was in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So it's all relative. It depends on how, and it was because it was my fault. I was sloppy. I was not careful.
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know,
I've known some people who have been mugged, but you just give up your stuff.
yeah, it's all you can do.
And this is why I don't really go out. The best time to mug a traveler is when they're moving from hostel to hostel,
Mm-hmm.
because then they have all their stuff on them.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
But when you're in a destination, I never leave with my passport.
Mm-hmm.
For ID, I take my local driver's license because
Yeah.
whatever if I lose it, I go with a little bit of cash and one credit card.
Yeah.
If I get robbed, I can go back to my hostel with, you take a secondary bank card and ATM credit card and boom.
Yeah. Very, very good. I actually, in some countries, like even had like a ready to go second wallet.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even.
That's a great tip.
I wouldn't even hesitate. I would just be like, "Oh, here you go," and it
Yeah.
would have like an expired credit card and like a few reais if it was in Brazil or something.
Oh yeah, the dummy wallet's great.
Mhm.
Here you go. All
Yeah,
right.
because then you don't even think about it. Because the idea of hesitating, you don't want to do that. You're like risking your life. In
Yeah,
some of these.
they'll just look to see there's cash in it. And if there's
Yeah.
cash in it, they'll be like, all right, great, and then they wonder.
Okay, let's see. I want to make sure I'm getting into to the most interesting questions here. Would you know your favorite cheap European cities to live in the short term, so under 6 months?
Um, Lisbon's really cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Prague is reasonably inexpensive.
I found Berlin is great as well.
Berlin is incredible, and I hear Bucharest has become quite the hotspot.
Yeah, and also Budapest. Budapest is becoming a little bit of a digital nomad.
Yeah, Budapest too. Yeah,
Yeah.
same with Bucharest.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, that's probably a good handful to start.
Yeah, I mean after that you'd have to. The differences are probably starting to get like very minor, and you'd have to decide which culture do you like. What
Yeah.
you know, what are you looking for in your travels and so on. Okay, let's see. Um, is it hard to make friends with fellow travelers if you use Airbnb and couchsurfing instead of hostels?
Well, with couchsurfing, you can go. Actually, with Airbnb too,
Hmm.
you can go to meetups.
Yep.
Like couchsurfing hosts usually have meetups, and then they bring their guests and such. Um,
Yeah, I've had very friendly Airbnb hosts who would like suggest, by the way, I'm attending this really cool event if you want to come and join me.
yeah, I think they're specifically asking for travelers to meet other travelers.
Mm.
There's always a backpacker bar crawl.
Mm-hmm.
The free walking tours are loaded with other travelers. And a lot of hostels have bars that are open to the public, so you can just go to the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's one specific question for Tokyo. I'm in Tokyo right now. What would be the? Oh no, sorry. He didn't specify. He asked what the first things you would do, but like, what are your interests? You know, do you want to be the first touristy things? Let's say, okay, let's. I'll jump ahead of him and say, what would be the first three restaurants or kinds of? Because this guy likes his sushi, and if you are,
Well, yeah, I don't have any specific restaurant names for Tokyo, but um, there is. Well, you go to the fish market first off. I love the castle and the park around there. Um, Shibuya is really cool. Ginza, areas to go around. But train stations in Japan are like great food courts. So you'll get a lot of like the sushi trains and the cheap donbori places and the curry places and the ramen places where you get like a couple hundred yen meals. So I always like eating there because the food's cheap and it's really good, and that's where the workers eat. Before they come home for work,
that's right.
that's where they eat. I mean, we think like I don't want to eat at a train station, but there you want to eat at a train station.
Yeah. Okay, I can see Daniel's asked this question before. For teaching a language, so if you're going to teach English abroad, do you recommend they get some kind of a degree or certification?
Yeah, to teach English abroad, you mostly have to at least have a university degree.
Mm-hmm.
Some countries don't really care about that.
Yeah.
And some companies don't, but clearly you'll get more money if you have a university degree. You can also get a TEFL, which is a Teach English as a Foreign Language certificate program, saying like somebody told you how to do this and gave you some.
Yeah, I did that one. That was like just one weekend back in Ireland before I travelled.
Yeah.
Just a whole day Saturday, whole day Sunday, getting like intensively trained, and they gave me a certificate. And I would not have gotten hired by like a very professional school, but I got my foot in the door. I got my initial work,
Right.
which then got me the experience that I was able to kind of compete with people.
Right. You're not going to teach at an international school with that,
Yeah.
but one of those like after school learning schools, like like in Lingua or Berlitz, like those are good for them.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we're only going to do this, guys, for another 5 or so minutes. So hit us with all your final, most important questions, and we'll wrap it up then, okay? So, any stories of offending the natives of countries you visited?
Nothing consciously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen travelers just be obnoxious.
Yeah.
Especially in like Thailand, where they'll be like in a really conservative place, like walking around with their tops off.
Yeah.
Or like their shoes or like in a bikini. Or like it's not cool to do here. Maybe I've offended some locals, but nothing really intentional. I don't go to a Muslim country and like be be like, so where's your bacon? You know, really love bacon. How come you guys don't eat bacon? By the way, you want some booze? You know,
Yeah.
I might have made faux pas, but I think nobody has brought it to my attention because
Yeah.
it's never been intentional. I'm really conscious of being respectful of just how people act. You know, and I'm trying to observe, not be opinionated.
Yeah. No, that's good. And I felt the same way. I think that, you know, minor faux pas, people might be okay with that. Like I answered the question the other day about if you're speaking another language, should you absolutely know the formal you versus the informal you? And, you know, generally you should try to know the formal you. But if you use the informal you, technically it's not showing them the particular kind of respect, but they know that you just got there. They know you're a learner, and people will forgive you of that. You know, so it's really it's not the kind of thing that you would know you have totally offended them. It's like little things that.
But if you know them well, that can also be a source of like a joke. Like so in Thailand, if you're like, huh, it's like arai na cup.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're friends, you could use arai wa. But to use arai wa and to like someone you don't know is really really offensive.
Yeah.
But I would always like joke with some of my Thai coworkers. I'd be like, "Alright, what?" I'd be like, "Ha ha 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 ha." So, and then they would be like, "No, this is what I said."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I know."
Yeah, it's always good to kind of have fun with those moments because they're people too. They know that, you know, you can't be perfect all the time. You're gonna slip up, and you can laugh it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh God, stupid questions. Is there any place or city in the world that you despise, or some place that you will not return to again?
Well, I've already said I would never go back to Vietnam.
Mm.
I didn't really like that place, but it's been 10 years. I'd probably give it another chance now. I always give, as I've grown as a traveler, I will always give a place a second chance. Probably not a third.
Yeah.
Or definitely not a fourth. Because you know, that first time you're like, oh, it was so miserable. It rained every day, and everyone was so rude, and the weather was cold, and like there was a strike, and you're like, okay. Then you go to a place, and like you'll have the opposite experience, and it's like, were we in the same destination?
Yeah.
So everyone deserves a second chance.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's hard to just like despise a place. I wouldn't suggest anyone do that. But there are places where you just just don't jive with you, and that's okay. It doesn't mean anything.
I don't really love Milan.
Mm-hmm.
Probably won't go back there. I've gone twice. You know, like Venice is like beautiful, and I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I've been 3 times. I will probably never. Well, actually, I'm going back to Venice for Carnival next month. But short of that, like this will probably be the last trip I ever go to Venice.
Yeah.
Unless I'm with someone who's like, if we're going to Italy together, we must go to Venice.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Then maybe final question: any problems that you've ever had with visas? And if yes, how did you deal with it?
Well, I have a golden passport. You know, an American passport really gets you anywhere. Maybe not so much given Donald Trump's edict a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go to Iran anymore. But with visas, like, it's not a problem. I never find it's a problem to get because you can always get the visa in the country before.
Mm-hmm.
Residency visas are a lot different. Like, I had a friend move to Spain, but they would only issue the residency permit in the U.S. So you're going to fly back to the U.S.
Yeah.
But if you want a tourist visa, you can just go up to the consulate in the town, in the capital of that country you're already in. You know, I got my Vietnam visa in Bangkok.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and your friends get Burmese Burmese visas in Bangkok. You know, so sometimes it takes a little planning.
Yeah.
You know, moving some money around to make it look like you have more funds than you really do. But I mean, the rules are the rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew amazing friends with very high paying jobs from the Philippines who lived in Thailand, but it took them 5 years to get approved for a visa to Europe. Because, single Filipino, like, why would they want to go back? And it's like, because they have their family there, But, so my only real trick for getting a visa is prepare.
Yeah.
Do it early. And also, like, understand that you may have to wait some time to do it. So,
yeah, and also talk to other people who have done it.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot from their experience. Like, I have a green card now for the US, but before this, I had the O1 visa, and I talked to a friend of mine who himself had gone through that process, and he gave me loads of good tips for, make sure to prepare this. You don't need to worry about that. And like, if I had tried to figure it out all by myself by just Googling it or something, I don't think I would have found it very easy. But like, you find someone else who's had that same experience, and you pick their brain.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of visa organizations out there. I mean, I think for what kind of visas you're talking about,
the long-term working visas are different.
But for just a travel visa, it's just like, just go and drop your passport off and wait till they call you.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to like do interviews. You just literally give them your passport.
Yeah, and pay the fee.
Pay the fee, and then in a lot of cases, you just arrive in the country. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to leave it there, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate you showing all your questions. If you want to learn more about Matt, then you see his website there in the bottom left of the screen. He's also Nomadic Matt on Twitter and on Facebook and everywhere else.
Instagram. Everywhere. Nomadic Matt.
Yeah.
And my book. Oh, wait. There we go. How to Travel the World on $50 a Day. You can get it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or your independent bookseller.
Yeah, that's right. And it's very, very good, packed with tips. So you'll find something in there. And I highly recommend you check that out. Check out Matt's stuff. I've also put like the cards on this YouTube video. So if you click the I in that corner, you can access Matt's YouTube channel.
Oh,
sending people over there.
Nice.
Yep. And as well as other travel links and stuff there. So thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And happy language learning and happy travels.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Or end of weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
That awkward moment while we try to close things out. And
I know, very awkward when I hope they're not watching right now. Okay.